term socialization process mean? Socialization is a process where the human mind, body, and attitude is developed upon close observation, typically with a role model or an individual that the child spends a decent amount of their time around. The time that the child spends observing and learning allows for them to fit in with culture and societal norms, allowing for an individual who is capable of fitting in with society. 2 agents of socialization. There are many important factors in socialization. These factors are named agents of socialization. Arguably, one of the most important agents is family. A family teaches a child about close relationships, life in a group, and distribution of resources. The family also helps develop a base set of values and norms during the developmental stages. After the child enters school, they will spend approximately 180 days at school receiving an education. This helps the child develop mathematical, English, and social skills, which are necessary for functional adult life in society. This factor is closely linked with a third one, being peers. This is due to the amount of time spent surrounded by fellow students of the same age groups. What's a cult group? A cult group is a social group of people who believe in a specific set of abnormal beliefs. These beliefs are typically based spiritually, philosophically, or religiously, and may revolve around a certain set of common interests, goal, or personality in its members. Such groups can usually be identified by its tendency to have a charismatic leader who is seen as a messenger or something that would place him above the average cult members. Charles Manson was the leader of one of the most infamous cult groups to ever emerge. The cult was named the Manson family, which was racially motivated and revenge-driven, and also would include torture, hostage-taking, and attempted assassination. They consisted mainly of mainly women and a few males. This cult would go on committing violent, heinous crimes in California, which instilled fear in the large population of America, and ruining the lives of each victim's families. Charles was seen as the complete mastermind behind each criminal act, orchestrating his diabolical plan. The upbringing of Charles. Charles Manson had a troubled upbringing, being born to a no-show father he had never gotten to know, and given birth to by a mother at the age of 16. Throughout his childhood, Charles seldom experienced a form of love or comfort from his mother. His mother tended to spend nights out selling her body and consuming substances, which would leave Charles to himself. He would later find himself to be switching guardians repeatedly from his mother and other family members. It was with his other family members that he would receive the necessary education his mother could not give, putting him on the right track. This would later be stripped away from him after he was returned to his mother, who would constantly neglect him for his whole life. After the age of 9, Charles would drop out from school and later adopt a tendency to steal. This would later place him in reformatory schools, which he often escaped from, and would later send him to juvenile court, which his mother would show up to, rather than his schools. Early criminal record. Charlie would often get away with manipulating his classmates to attack each other, which he got away with because he seemed too young to plan it. While living with his uncle and aunt, he would constantly blame others for his misdoings and strive to be the center of attention. This would later explain for his actions throughout his life. As a child, Charles Manson would free children from the reformatory school and would later move on to escaping one of the schools by stealing a car which would later be crashed. This caused for him to start robbing stores and later get caught. Rituals and behaviors in the Manson family. The Manson family would oftentimes abuse illegal substances such as LSD collectively, which they would typically follow with whole group orgies. During his time in the Indiana Reform School, he would be found to constantly get sodomized by the students and beaten by the guards. A few years later, he would hold a razor blade against another boy's neck and sodomize him, which would later cause for Charles to be sent to a high-risk facility. He was diagnosed as a schizophrenic and suffered from paranoid delusional disorder after his final incarceration. Throughout his life, he was a master manipulator capable of swaying nearly any situation in his favor and winning anyone over with just his words. This stayed true from the age of 6. He would manipulate his classmates and starting fights with one another. Charles Manson's goal. His crimes were typically aimed towards famous celebrities or successful people, which is most likely due to his failure as a musician. The reason for his crimes aren't all known or confirmed. This is due to the fact that different stories were told by the members, making for the story to be messy. How did Charles recruit followers? Through the use of LSD trips, group intercourse, and his charismatic skills, Charles was capable of recruiting many people into his cult. While on LSD, Charles would degrade their minds and repeatedly spout cryptic messages and his beliefs, warping their minds and causing for them to become devout followers. They would begin to believe that he is the second coming of Christ and the Holy Messiah. Parenting styles. Authoritative. This style sets boundaries that are considerate, explains them, and are high warmth, high control. These children grow up capable of questioning rules, gets along with peers, high confidence, and learns better. Permissive. Not much rules, allows the kids to mess around, and a high warmth, low control. Kids grow up to be assertive, high self-esteem, voices feelings, but poor social skills and uninterested in education. Authoritarian. Strict rules which can't be questioned and must be followed. Focuses on punishment and high control, low warmth. Their kids tend to have low self-esteem, don't trust themselves, and are poor social skills. Types of attachment. Avoidant. Children who have an avoidant style of attachment don't react as negatively to their mother leaving as the other two, as well as barely reacting when she returns. These children are typically okay with strangers. Secure. This type is the most moderate, feeling distress when the mother leaves, greets her upon return, and has positive reaction to strangers with the mother, while avoidant when alone. Anxious. Intense amount of stress when mother leaves, fears strangers, and hard to calm when mother returns. How can cults influence parenting styles? Parenting styles can be influenced through the beliefs and rituals of the cult. For example, a specific dress policy may exist only allowing formal clothes as it could be seen as unprofessional otherwise. This could affect the child's taste of clothing on what is acceptable or not. Another way that cults influence parenting is through beliefs. The parents would be very likely to indoctrinate the children in the beliefs of the cult, as well as sticking to specific principles and norms which would stray from which is normal. This would impact the child's future heavily in things such as decision-making or social skills. How may cults influence the attachment of a child? Being raised in a cult could lead a child to suffer from attachment issues due to possible rituals that could involve leading the child to itself. This could lead a child's mental health and physical health deteriorating and causing developmental issues. If a child is subjected to the behavior of a cult, it may lack the ability to adapt to the climate of society's standards, and lead the child to be lacking in many crucial areas, especially in common knowledge. Attachment experiment. Monkeys were separated from their mothers at birth and given a wire mother that provided food and a Tao mother who had no food. The monkeys were also placed in fearful situations. The babies were shown to spend more time with the Tao mother and spending a minuscule amount with the wire mother just for food. It was also shown that the babies would cling to the Tao mother in scary situations. The monkeys without real mothers lacked development in certain areas such as socialization, and it caused for them to be timid and as well for them to struggle integrating with society. In conclusion, this showed that babies prioritize attachment and warmth over food.